Never in the country's history has a winner been formally declared the night of the election. But with record numbers of voters, President Trump on Sunday falsely claimed votes should not be counted after Tuesday.
I think it's a terrible thing when people or states are allowed to tabulate ballots for a long period of time after the election is over.
But counting takes time, days, even weeks. And the president surely knows that. Here are the facts. 21 states and D.C. allow ballots postmarked by Election Day to be counted if they arrive after Election Day, including critical swing states Pennsylvania, Minnesota, North Carolina, and Ohio. But tonight, a big concern. The Postal Service, accused of slowing mail delivery to help President Trump, reports that on Saturday it moved only 62% of mailed-in ballots on time in central Pennsylvania and 64% in Atlanta, compared to a 95% overall on-time delivery in June. Some states are already counting millions of early votes, including Florida, Arizona, and North Carolina. Other battlegrounds like Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania can't begin counting until tomorrow. Pennsylvania's governor out with a new commercial trying to reassure voters.
It may take a little longer than we're used to, even a few days, but that's okay, because it's critical that your vote is counted.
Even veteran Republicans are concerned by the president's rhetoric.
Look, I'm a Republican. I agree with the president when he's right, but he's wrong about this. This type of rhetoric about rigged elections ultimately invites comparison to places like Russia, to places like Iran, places where they really do rig elections.
In fact, every state has its own deadline for certifying election results. The real deadline, December 14th. That's when state electors must cast their ballots in the Electoral College. Experts caution as states come in tomorrow night, they may trend blue or red, but all that matters is the final vote count, and they could all change their colors.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.